Consider this an exploration, a dizzying whirlwind tour through a landscape painted with excessive wealth, impossible heists, and the relentless pursuit of legendary artifacts. This isn't just a movie, it's a colossal, star-studded event, a deliberate and magnificent piece of cinematic engineering designed for the apex of streaming dominance. Red Notice is, first and foremost, a vehicle. Not a mere car, but a gleaming, custom-built, 1,000-horsepower engine that simultaneously propels and showcases the combined, gravitational star power of Dwayne, The Rock, Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. This trinity of modern Hollywood royalty, each commanding astronomical fees and possessing an almost supernatural ability to charm a global audience, is the very foundation upon which the entire edifice is constructed. The film's true currency is not the coveted Fabergé eggs that drive the plot, but the sheer, unadulterated charisma radiating from its leading players. The narrative unfurls, predictably yet entertainingly, from an improbable confluence of opposing forces. We are introduced to John Hartley, an FBI behavioral profiler of almost mythical competence, a man whose physique suggests a rigorous adherence to justice and a diet of pure granite. He is, initially, the stoic anchor, the representative of law and order in a world that thrives on slippery ambiguity. His primary quarry, the man he is obsessed with bringing to heel, is Nolan Booth. Booth is the quintessential, world's greatest art thief, a title he wears with a sarcastic smirk and the casual insouciance of a man who knows his quips land better than his attempts at staying out of trouble. He is the film's motor mouth, the fourth wall nudging, pop culture referencing agent of chaos whose continuous stream of meta-commentary serves as both comic relief and a constant acknowledgement of the high-stakes absurdity surrounding them. The initial setting is Rome, a city steeped in history, providing a suitably grand backdrop for the theft of the first of Cleopatra's 3 legendary, diamond-encrusted Fabergé eggs, a MacGuffin so potent it supposedly justifies the entire, convoluted narrative. Hartley is there, Booth is there, and, crucially, a third party is introduced, the Bishop. If Booth is the world's greatest male thief, the Bishop is presented as the undisputed master of the craft, operating with a level of sophistication and untouchability that borders on mythical. She is the Shadow, the Phantom, a master manipulator who is always one step, one disguise, one double cross ahead of both the law and her thieving rival. The early stages of the film are a whirlwind of exposition and increasingly complicated betrayals. Hartley, through a series of cleverly orchestrated events, is framed by the Bishop for the theft of the first egg and subsequently incarcerated in a remote, heavily fortified Russian prison, a place that looks like a concrete manifestation of cinematic punishment. It is here, in the icy, oppressive confines of confinement, that the central, uneasy alliance is forged. The lawman and the thief, now sharing a common enemy and a shared, involuntary prison stay, are forced into an unholy partnership. Their escape, naturally, is a spectacle of impossible feats and expertly choreographed mayhem, utilizing Johnson's brawn and Reynolds' quick wit to subvert the heavily armed guards and the bleak architecture of their temporary home. The majority of the film transforms into a relentless, geographical hopscotch across the globe. The pursuit of the remaining 2 eggs dictates the itinerary, taking the unlikely duo from the frigid steppes of Russia to the sun-drenched, opulent villas of Valencia, and eventually deep into the lush, forgotten jungles of Egypt. Each location is less a place of cultural significance and more a beautifully rendered stage upon which the next, increasingly elaborate set piece can be performed. The eggs, it is revealed, are not merely historical relics. They are the ultimate, extravagant wedding gift, commissioned by Mark Antony for Cleopatra millennia ago, and the current collector seeking them is a shadowy, obscenely wealthy figure for whom money is simply no object. The chemistry between Johnson and Reynolds is the film's lifeblood. Their dynamic is a glorious, sustained buddy cop routine elevated by the constant, aggressive bickering. Johnson, the straight man, the mountain of principled exasperation, is the perfect foil for Reynolds' relentless, sarcastic needle-poking. Booth's dialogue is less about advancing the plot and more about providing a running commentary on Hartley's predictable actions, the inherent clichés of their situation, and even the questionable costume choices of their adversaries. This self-referential humor is Red Notice's acknowledgement that it is a genre piece, a knowing wink to the audience that says, yes, we know this is ridiculous, and that's precisely the fun of it. Gal Gadot's bishop, meanwhile, serves as the elusive puppet master, perpetually lurking just out of reach, executing her own heists with a balletic grace and an almost bored professionalism. Her interactions with both men are charged with a subtle, electric tension, suggesting a history, an attraction, and a deep-seated rivalry. She is the ultimate, seductive antagonist, proving that brains, beauty, and ruthless efficiency can often outmaneuver both brute force and fast-talking charm. The film builds towards a spectacular, museum vault break-in, a high-stakes auction, and an extended sequence that culminates in a chaotic, underground pursuit through a labyrinthine mine shaft in Egypt, where the third, and most valuable, egg is hidden. The structural necessity of a modern action thriller dictates that the audience be subjected to a monumental twist, and Red Notice delivers one that is both utterly predictable in its existence and surprisingly impactful in its revelation. The final act reveals that the entire dynamic, the lawman, the thief, and the puppet master, was a meticulously constructed facade. The true nature of John Hartley and the bishop's relationship is exposed in a masterstroke of late-game subterfuge. They are, in fact, partners, lovers, and the real bishops, a duo of criminal masterminds who use the hapless Booth as their unwitting pawn to secure all 3 eggs and deliver them to the waiting, deeply romantic, and absurdly wealthy Egyptian billionaire who intended them for his daughter's wedding. This revelation is the film's crowning achievement in narrative complexity, instantly reframing every previous interaction. Johnson's stoic professionalism and principled pursuit of justice were merely his most convincing disguise. The twist not only provides a satisfyingly cynical conclusion to the treasure hunt but also sets the stage for the inevitable sequels, revealing that the true villains of the piece are not merely good at their job but operating on an entirely different plane of criminal genius. The very final scene serves as a magnificent, irresistible hook for the cinematic universe the producers clearly envision. Booth, having been briefly abandoned and betrayed, manages to track down the now-married criminal masterminds, enjoying a luxurious, post-heist vacation. Instead of revenge, Booth proposes a new venture, a challenge that promises even greater stakes and further globe-trotting escapades. The trio, now a reluctant, mutually manipulative alliance of the world's 3 greatest con artists, thieves, sets off on a new mission, signifying that the game is not over, merely entering its next, potentially more lucrative, level. In essence, Red Notice is a triumph of brand synergy and star power over narrative originality. It is cinematic comfort food of the highest possible quality, glossy, expensive, relentlessly entertaining, and utterly reliant on the effortless charisma of its leads. It offers dazzling locations, exhilarating action sequences, and a rapid-fire comedic rhythm that rarely lets up. It is not seeking to redefine the genre, but rather to distill its most intoxicating elements into a perfectly formulated, commercially successful blockbuster cocktail. It is the very definition of a popcorn film, one that demands to be enjoyed for its sheer, brazen spectacle and the magnetic pull of the 3 individuals whose presence ensures its status as one of the most watched features in streaming history. It is a loud, extravagant, and undeniably fun piece of cinematic confectionery, a true $200 million spectacle that wears its big-budget, twist-laden heart on its perfectly tailored sleeve.